Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rafa Duke Page Guy channel. We are here back again for another review, and tonight we will be reviewing NXT Takeover War Games 2020, live from the Capitol Wrestling Center, the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. So let's run down the card quickly. The opening match was the Women's War Games match as Team Blackheart of Shotzi Blackheart, Rhea Ripley, Ember Moon, and NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai faced Team Candice LeRae of Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Toni Storm, and Raquel Gonzalez. And this War Games match was good. Like, this is what's great about ever since WWE brought back War Games. I know it's not the original War Games, but since they've done that, NXT, and I swear to God, has never had a bad War Games match in my opinion. All the War Games matches were entertaining as hell. Also, fun fact, I watched the NXT show wearing the AEW shirt. Yeah, the NXT women's match, or the NXT War Games match for the women's was really, really good. It was not as good as last year's. I think last year had like that perfect storm of, Shayna's team looked, like a threat. And Rhea's team as well. You had, the Dakota Kai heel turn, the Miss Rude who attacked Mia Yim, and Shayna won, which was culminating a big recent few months. Like, this was arguably what kicked it off. Then she won Survivor Series, and then later on she won the title. So Team Candice won after Raquel Gonzalez pinned Io Shirai. Now, Raquel Gonzalez I'm not a big fan of. I nickname her basically the female Kevin Nash. That she's big, tall, and muscular. She does a powerbomb as a finisher, and she's just around to be Dakota Kai's bodyguard. As I call him Dakota Kai with Shawn Michaels, that's up to your own interpretation. But in having Raquel pin Io, the NXT Women's Champion, of that is interesting, I guess, because I guess it sort of teases what could be the next feud. I know a lot of people were, expected to see Toni versus Io, which I honestly would have probably preferred. But we'll see what this Raquel Io story goes. Like, I'm not a big fan of Raquel. I don't think Raquel is ready to be NXT Women's Champion. I mean, she's barely been on the roster for a year. It's going to be a year in February. And they're already going to be pushing her towards a title shot. Kind of feels, it's just pushing, the bigger woman just to, make her look strong, damn it. I don't know. But anyways, the match was good. I'm not a big fan on the finish, but again, that's up to your own interpretation. And we'll see where they go for that build of that feud. We then followed that up by Tommaso Ciampa versus Timothy Thatcher. That was actually another really good match, a good brawl. Thatcher's had these matches where he turns his matches to like a grappling match, like a real catch wrestling style match. And he does it in a way where his opponents don't seem too out of place in it. It's not like a catch wrestler against a regular pro wrestler, if you will. He had that match with Finn at Takeover 30 that was actually really good. And now with this match as well, with Ciampa. Ciampa wins after hitting the Widow's Bell, the draped DDT. Yeah, I wasn't disappointed by the match. It was a good match, a good change of pace from the action-packed War Games to this more sort of controlled match. It was fun. Then you had the strap match between Loomis and Grimes. I like Loomis. I don't really care for Grimes. Loomis won, which was not a surprise. I really didn't care for the match. I was in and out of my room doing stuff, but during that, I couldn't really find anything interesting for that match. The triple threat match after that for the North American title, Leon Ruff versus Gargano versus Priest. Gargano wins, becoming the only 3-time NXT North American champion, which is nothing considering that title's been around for, it made 2 years in March. So everyone's been a one-time champion mostly. Gargano winning was kind of set to do to introduce Gargano having this team. Like, Candice has Indy Hartwell, who's been most like a jobber. Now Gargano has Austin Theory with him. Kind of forms an interesting sort of squad there. I'll be interested to see what that pairing with those 4 end up doing. But it does kind of beg the question, why have the Leon Ruff win? I think that was mostly just done as, sort of, a surprise moment, a moment. but I just feel like, I think Gargano winning was predictable. I didn't think they were going to put the belt back on Priest. Although, again, you can argue Priest had kind of a short reign with it. But again, Gargano had one shorter. He had held it for like 3 days. So, and then the main event of the evening, the men's War Games match, Undisputed Era wins and stands tall over the self-named Kings of NXT, Team McAfee, named by NXT. WWE has had its history of getting like these athletes or these celebrities from other sports and trying to put them in the wrestling ring and hoping that they pan out. Some have. Recently, WWE has had some recent luck with people like Ronda Rousey and Pat McAfee. And the thing is that to a lot of people, Pat McAfee is not that big of a name in football. Like, you ask people like who he is, and they'll say, I don't even know. And he was a former punter. And I lauded his performance at Takeover 30, and his performance deserves just as much praise tonight. He took a lot of big spots in the match. The War Games match, considering it was 4-on-4, he could have been booked to not take as many bumps, but he took his fair share, so props to him. Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch look like a really good team. They were a fun team even before, but now that their heels are looking even better. And I'm interested to see what's next for Pete Dunne. He looked more like the paid mercenary, if you will, from McAfee. Well, McAfee said his team was built with money. So I am interested to see how this will continue for this group. I think, McAfee at some point is going to get a win over Cole. I think it's obvious. Although it could also be that McAfee just wants to wrestle and believes that in him being part-time and not, getting a win could kind of hurt, like Adam Cole or someone from the Undisputed Era. So it's interesting, but, very interesting War Games match. Compared to all the other ones, I don't think this one was the best. I think it's good, like I've said at the start. No War Games match has disappointed me. This applies to this one, but, I think there were better ones, and I could argue like last year's War Games match for the men's Undisputed Era versus Team Ciampa was better, but again, that's all up to your own interpretation. So, a good night for NXT here for TakeOver War Games 2020. They announced that their next special is actually coming in January of 2021 called New Year's Evil. So definitely going to be interesting what they have in store for that. And as for WWE in general, the next pay-per-view will be TLC December 20th, my birthday, at the Thunderdome, which will have moved to the Tropicana Field, which technically their tenure there starts on Friday. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe to the Ralph Duke Page Guide channel. Thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts down below, and have yourselves a very good evening and a very good week. Thank you for watching.